Hello friends, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Professor Vandana Chakravarti, Director, Lifelong Learning and Extension, SNDT Women's University, Mumbai. Today, we are going to talk about curriculum development and supporting systems. This module on curriculum development and supporting systems will enable the learner to list the characteristics of adult learners, to explain the principles of adult learning, to clarify the steps in curriculum development for adult literacy, to differentiate between types of curriculum, and specify the roles of supporting systems. Curriculum plays a very important role in the spectrum of education that decides the destiny of a nation. In today's knowledge economy, an appropriate curriculum can play a vital role in improving the economy of a country. It also provides answers or solutions to the world's pressing issues and problems, such as environment, politics, socio-economic and other issues of poverty, climate change, and sustainable development. Hence, curriculum is considered to be the heart of any institution that provides instruction to the learners, and it is rightly said that curriculum refers to the total learning experience of individuals, not only in school but in society as well. Curriculum development is a broad scope because it is not only the institution, the learners and the teachers, it is also about the development of society in general. Hence, curriculum development matters a lot in the direction of change in an institution, not only at the micro but also macro levels. As long as the goals and objectives of curriculum development are clear in the planner's mind, cutting-edge achievements in various concerns can be realized. Educational programs devised for the adult learners is considered as adult education. It aims at enhancement of skills, knowledge, and the right kind of attitude in adults. Adult education program can promote the developmental programs of government and increase their reach in the community. Adult education is also defined as human resources development program, considering the knowledge, skills and attitudes to be developed in the adult learners. Human resources development is necessary so that people's affairs can be left in their own hands. If adult education is to be attempted in a serious sense in the above background, then it will entail radical changes in the existing educational programs. An adult literacy curriculum has to be built on expressed needs of a community. The needs as felt by the community and as observed by adult education experts together constitute the expressed needs. It is on the basis of these expressed needs that the curriculum should be developed for adult learners. Adult education in India is used alternatively with adult literacy, which is a program for 15 to 45 age group of adults who are non-literates. In several other countries, it covers even the literates who wish to acquire new skills and knowledge. Adult education programs in countries like Canada have produced very good results and have generated greater revenue to the nation. The curriculum developer takes into account the characteristics of the adult learners in order to develop suitable curriculum that impacts their lives. What are the characteristics of adults? There is a difference between adult learners and young students. Let us look at the characteristics of a mature adult who takes to learning after years of experience. These adult learners are more self-directed rather than relying on others for help. They are mature and therefore experienced, and their experience can provide rich source for their learning. Their readiness to learn is linked to what one needs to know. Their orientation to learn is problem-oriented rather than subject-centered. Their motivation to learn is internal. Let us now look at the principles of adult learning. Curriculum should also take into account the principles of adult learning. Considering the traits of adult learners, in 1984, novels suggested 4 principles that are applied to adult learning. Adults need to be involved in the planning and evaluation of their learning. Experience, including mistakes made, provide the basis of learning activities. Adults are most interested in learning subjects that have immediate relevance and impact on their job and personal life. Adult learning is problem-centered rather than content-oriented. There are a number of other scholars who have discussed principles of adult learning. We will now look at the list of principles that was developed by synthesizing views of a number of authors like Brookfield, Draper, Draves, Grissom, Novels, Vella. They have said involve the learners in planning and implementing learning activities, including learners in planning and implementing of their learning activities is considered to be a hallmark of adult education. Their participation can begin with the needs assessment process, where members of the target population help establish the program goals and objectives and continue throughout the learning activity to the evaluation phase. Draw upon the learner's experience as a source, as a resource. Another often cited principle of adult education revolves around the idea of using experience of participants as a learning resource. Not only do adult learners have experience that can be used as a foundation for learning new things, but also in adulthood, readiness to learn frequently stems from life tasks and problems. The particular life situations and perspectives that adults bring to the classroom can provide a rich reservoir for learning. Cultivate self-direction in learners. Self-direction is considered by some to be a characteristic of adulthood, but not all adults possess this attribute in equal measure. In addition, if adults have been accustomed to teacher-directed learning environments, they may not display self-directedness in adult learning settings. Adult learning should be structured to nurture the development of self-directed, empowered adults. Let me quote Brookfield, who in 1986 said that adults are encouraged to become self-directed. They begin to see themselves as proactive, initiating individuals engaged in continuous recreation of their personal relationships, work worlds, and social circumstances, rather than as reactive individuals buffeted by uncontrollable force of circumstance. Then we have to create a climate that encourages and supports learning. The classroom environment should be characterized by trust and mutual respect among teachers and learners. It should enhance learners' self-esteem. Supporting and encouraging learning does not mean that the environment is free of conflict. It does mean that when conflict occurs, it is handled in a way that challenges learners to acquire new perspectives and supports them in their efforts to do so. We have to foster a spirit of collaboration in the learning settings. Collaboration in the adult classroom is frequently founded on the idea that the roles of teachers and learners can be interchangeable. Although teachers have the overall responsibility for leading a learning activity in adult learning settings, Draper rightly says that each person has something to teach and to learn from the others. Adult learning is cooperative enterprise that respects and draws upon the knowledge that each person brings to the learning settings. Use of small groups is important. The use of small groups has deep historical roots in adult education, and adult learning in groups has always become embedded in adult education practice. Groups promote teamwork and encourage cooperation and collaboration among learners. Structured appropriately, they emphasize the importance of learning from peers, and they allow all participants to be involved in discussions and to assume a variety of roles. The curriculum is to be diversified, flexible, need-based, and environment-based. They will help to yield better results in the learning situation. Common curriculum may not be suitable to meet the requirements of the adults coming from different social, cultural, geographical, economic, and even occupational backgrounds. Let us now look at the steps in curriculum development for adult literacy. While developing curriculum for adult learners, certain steps have to be followed that will make the curriculum relevant and also useful. We have to recognize the clearly stated national goals for development and policies for adult education. These goals and policies must be kept in view, as the adult learners are generally from the deprived sections of society. We have to identify the target groups in accordance with the national goals. For instance, in Sakshar Bharat program, which is the flagship program of adult education in our country, non-literate women of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and minority groups from low literacy states have been identified as the target group. Identify the communities where target groups are located. In the low literacy states, identify the pockets where these groups are located. Survey these communities to study the physical, socio-cultural, and economic aspects, study the developmental needs, identify the developmental inputs already affected, discover the felt and real needs of the community as a whole and the target group in particular, identify factors and problems inhibiting development, identify the agencies and structures responsible for development, identify material and human resources in the community, analyze the survey data. This analysis will point towards the kind of curriculum that needs to be developed. formulate a curriculum to propose the strategies, both educational and developmental, to fulfill the needs of the community in general and the target group in particular. Translate needs and strategies into learning objectives and methodologies. Formulate content areas, delineate the literacy, awareness and functionality tasks to be performed by the various developmental and educational agencies. Identify media to be utilized or commissioned for each content and learning unit. Write the appropriate material for each content and learning unit. And devise evaluation tools to evaluate the curriculum through the teaching learning process. What are the different types of curriculum? Nowadays, the curriculum developers include a core content and locally relevant content for developing the curriculum for adults. Under the core content, we have national integration, women's equality, conservation of environment, population education and scientific temper, and these aspects depend on the centrally determined objectives, that is on the kind of values you wish to propagate in your citizens. The locally relevant content includes health issues, social issues, economic issues and entertainment. These are the contents considered in the Indian adult education programs. Now we come to the important part of supporting systems for curriculum development. Curriculum development for adult education is not an easy job. Further, it is not individual's task and it requires expertise of many persons working in different fields so as to cater to the needs of the adults through the curriculum. Adult education is a complex field and constructing the curriculum for learners requires experience and coordination of different departments working for the benefit of people. Let us now look at the important supporting systems which are involved in designing the curriculum in India. Directorate of Adult Education, it is the apex department for adult education in India for developing curriculum guidelines, and it has brought out model basic literacy primers and neo-literate material. It has developed the curriculum and designed teaching and learning materials using improved pace and content of learning approach, which is known as IPCL. IPCL curriculum is based on program goals set by National Literacy Mission. It has two types of content: core content and locally relevant content. In India, the curriculum is to be developed following core and locally relevant content. Under core content, the national values that are mentioned are national integration, secularism, women's equality, population education, conservation of environment, development of scientific temper, Panchayati Raj system, that is local self-government. In adult education parlance, the term FANV is much in use in IPCL context. This stands for functionality, awareness and national values. Functionality means knowledge transferred would be utility oriented or of practical value. The learners would use it in their life or workplaces for their immediate future or for personal or social development. The functional information would be in the areas of literacy, skills, life skills, income generation skills and so on. Awareness would mean critical understanding of social conditions in which the learner lives and works. This would involve understanding of the factors contributing to their existing predicaments and problems, and finding ways to solve them for betterment of life. Locality relevant curriculum is also to be developed. Besides the core curriculum, the IPCL curriculum contains locally relevant curriculum also. It should be decided by the program organizers, the academic subcommittees of the district, the material writers, and so on. Now, health issues, social issues, economic issues, entertainment figure mostly, and each area can be further subdivided for specific issues. The curriculum has to be developed as per the objectives of the program, and in India, functional literacy has been the focal point, and it implies that functional literacy implies not only acquiring self-reliance in reading, writing and numeracy, but also awareness regarding reasons for the backwardness, acquiring skills for improving economic status, and imbibing or fostering national values. Universities are known for their research, and they have also supported curriculum development. Their research can provide important inputs for curriculum development. There are universities such as the SV University, for instance, where the Department of Adult Continuing Education has developed basic literacy and post-literacy primers. And this was adopted for some of the districts such as Chittor, Kadapa, Nizamabad for literacy work there. SNDT Women's University's Department of Continuing and Adult Education and Extension work conducted over 300 adult literacy centers and also had continuing education centers. These university departments of adult education can take up research. They are actually taking up research studies on learning needs of adults, reading interests of neoliterates, and so on. Universities have shared their views in workshops meant for developing curriculum for the adults. Therefore, universities have helped the agencies which developed the curriculum for adults. It will be good to have educationists, psychologists, sociologists, and linguists drawn from universities and include them in the workshops for developing curriculum for adults. Then we have the State Department of Adult Education. These departments implement the adult education program as per the guidelines of the center and shares the proportion of the cost of the program. In the states like Andhra Pradesh, the department has permanent employees for supervising and running the program, and these functionaries extend support for development of curriculum and invariably are also involved in curriculum development workshops. The state resource centers, that is SRCs, are the academic resource support institutions established with the assistance of Ministry of Human Resource Development in the Government of India. And these SRCs provide academic support to adult literacy program in the state. The major roles of SRCs are developing teaching learning materials on the basis of guidelines of the Directorate of Adult Education, developing supplementary material, organizing training programs, conducting research and experimentation and innovation. The state resource centers have developed teaching learning material for basic literacy, for post literacy and for continuing education of adult learners in a very big way. UNESCO's Asia Pacific program of Education for All, that is commonly known as APEAL, has described 6 types of continuing education program which cannot be implemented without giving a thought to the underlying curriculum. Post-literacy programs or PLPs, these aim at maintaining and enhancing basic literacy, numeracy and problem-solving skills, giving individuals sufficient general basic work skills, enabling them to function effectively in their societies. Equivalency programs or EPs, these are designed as alternative education program equivalent to existing formal general or vocational education. Then we have income generation programs or IGPs. These help participants acquire or upgrade vocational skills and enable them to conduct income generating activities. IGPs are vocational continuing education programs delivered in a variety of contexts and are directed in particular towards those people who are currently not self-sufficient in a modern world. They are the people who are below poverty line and they need help. Income generation programs will help them to rise above the current situation. Then we have the quality of life improvement programs or the QLIPs. These aim to equip learners and community with that essential knowledge, attitudes, values and skills to enable them to improve quality of life as individuals and as members of the community. And then we have the individual interest promotion programs or the IIPs. These provide opportunity for individuals to participate in and learn about their chosen social, cultural, spiritual, health, physical and artistic interests. At the end, we have the future-oriented programs. These give workers, professionals, regional and national community leaders, villagers, businessmen, planners, new knowledge, new skills, new techniques to adapt themselves and their organizations to growing social and technological changes. Then we have the Asia Pacific Cultural Center for UNESCO, ACCU. It is a non-profit organization for Asia and Pacific regional activities with the principles of UNESCO, working for the promotion of mutual understanding and cultural cooperation amongst people in the region. ACCU was established in 1971 in Tokyo and it has been implementing various regional cooperative programs in the field of culture, education and personal exchange in close collaboration with UNESCO and its member states in Asia and the Pacific. It has brought out handbook for adult learning materials for community level programs. Also, the most popular AJP, Asia Pacific Joint Production Program for materials for neo-literates in rural areas. Materials are packed into 4 categories: health, sanitary, income generation, environment, women's empowerment. Literacy kit is also given, a collection of 942 illustrations covering 8 subject areas commonly used for community development such as health and sanitation, income generation, education and civic consciousness. It is available both in CD-ROM and book format. Users can directly find relevant illustrations for their own material. In the CD-ROM, 16 AJP materials are available in PDF. Some of the materials developed by the ACCU were also translated into regional language by the SRCs and supplied to the State Department of Adult Education for the benefit of neoliterates. Then we have the role of non-governmental organizations also, because they play an important role in this area. Non-governmental organizations have implemented adult literacy centers in India in a big way, and those agencies had contributed to the development of curriculum for basic literacy and continuing education. Invariably, the curriculum developers included their representatives in the workshops meant for curriculum development. Literacy House, a voluntary agency, developed primers for non-literate women. BGVS, that is Bharat Gyan Vigyan Samiti, an NGO in India, also developed basic literacy primers, and it has used, which were used in the total literacy campaigns of Guntur and Nellore districts. Private publishers also developed neoliterate material on the suggested curriculum. At the end, a holistic approach needs to be considered for developing curriculum for adults in view of their diversified needs and interests. The principles of adult learning have to be kept in mind while framing curriculum for adult learners. Curriculum which should be aligned with national objectives on one hand and learner needs on the other should follow certain steps. Further, it has to be developed with the support of educational institutions involved in adult education, implementing agencies and non-governmental organizations. Stakeholders also contribute for the development of curriculum, which requires an integrated approach with a mix of experts and institutions. Thank you.